and Sachin Tendulkar flooded Sourav Ganguly's room while he was sleeping.
Yeah. You know, these are all pranks which teams play, players play, friends play on one another. So we were at a national camp in Indore, and I don't know why we did it, but it was like a proper surgical strike on that room, wherein we made sure that his roommate left the door little unlocked at night.
But what do you feel goes wrong in the case of some of these prodigy cricketers who don't make it to the big level later on, or on the way sort of sometimes falter? What exactly goes wrong? What exactly went wrong with Vinod Kambli?
So I was working for Nike in Europe, in Amsterdam, working in Europe football sports marketing.
Okay.
And I had a very plum job, but I met a couple of friends. I made a couple of friends who work for Booking.com, and Booking.com is a Dutch company. It has a Dutch founder. And I just loved the aggregation idea of Booking.com. You just get all the places to stay where you can possibly stay, get them all together. And since then the bug just bit me कि India में जाके sports के लिए ये करेंगे. And Dream 11 had just come on as an investor at that time. So for Khelo More, they invested into the company. Wow. And they really helped us in building the product out completely. So since then we said कि boss यही करना है, and we say internally that our use case, the reason for existence for the company, is that crores and crores of Indians are saying I want to play.
Right. So today with me on Celebpreneurs is someone who has been an international cricketer. He's been involved with the BCCI. He's an entrepreneur, and I was just talking to him. He's going to be doing something which is going to completely revolutionize the sporting scene in India. I'm talking, of course, about Jatin Paranjape. Jatin ji, thank you so much for braving the Mumbai monsoon and coming to our office.
Start of the monsoon, so it comes in with a bang.
I know it has definitely come in with a bang, but thank you for actually making it to the office. Starting right off with your company called Khelo More.
Yeah.
Right now, of course, you've been a cricketer. You've played with the likes of Sachin and Sourav and Dravid. We'll come to that a little bit later.
Yeah.
To start off with, what exactly is Khelo More about for the ones who don't know about it?
So Khelo More is an app and a website which allows you to book sports venues. So nowadays you have a lot of private sports venues in India. You have football turfs where you play football and box cricket also. You have badminton venues, you have pickleball, paddle venues. So we have about more than 3,000 venues which are fully bookable across the country. Okay. So say you want to play badminton, you just enter your current location and it shows all badminton venues around you. Okay. You click on a venue, you see slots which are available, you click on a slot, pay through the app and you just go and play. So it's an access to sports platform, which we are evolving into a community platform as well. So if you want to play some tournaments in badminton, you can then search for the tournaments on the app itself, join those tournaments, pay for your entry fees there. If you want to connect with other badminton players, you can do that. So it's like a Zomato for sport, you know. So you want to eat a certain cuisine, you just go and enter it there and order it, and it comes home. Here the only thing that is, because it's sport, you go to the venue, the closest venue. So it's an aggregation of sports venues. And going forward, it will also aggregate sports coaches. So if you want to say you want to learn, you just mentioned that you play tennis. If you want some one-on-one tennis coaching, for example, you'll be able to hire a tennis coach for that 1 hour or 2 hours through Khelo More. So it's bringing together all the supply side of sport in India on one app, and then catering to the demand from there itself.
So this community part which you were talking about, where we can actually I mean, if I were to use the very popular dating app culture nowadays, we were instead of matching with our potential someone, we could be matching with someone who we want to play sports with in a different like badminton or cricket or basketball or whatever.
Absolutely.
So and this would, like, this community thing would be on the roll by when?
Yes, so we will have it in the next 60 days or so.
Oh, lovely.
So if you now you yourself have come from Kolkata to Mumbai, so that's workplace migration. You know, so if you want to join a tennis group, so you just say that, hey, I played tennis twice a week, I've been playing for the last 4 or 5 years, we'll match you to new tennis players in your locality, and you can just accept those requests from them. and go and book a venue together and play. We've actually, to your point about the dating analogy, we've had so many users who've written to us saying that they have met through Khelo More. They have met their girlfriend or boyfriend
What are
through
you
Khelo
saying?
More, and they've gone.
I am signing up with KheloMore today in the evening.
So they've gone to a badminton court, played once, liked each other's company, played again, and they've been kind enough to mention it in their testimonials that, hey, you guys should really work on this feature, and it kind of helps.
So either you become really fit or you find a partner or both.
Yeah, ideally both, and yeah. So it's basically just aggregating everything in sport on one platform. Aage jaake you'll see that we'll also add a Khelo More shop to it, so you can buy product from there. That will all be AI assisted selling, AI assisted buying. So if you're looking for a bat, you just put in the range and the weight, and it will throw up 3 or 4 more other features, and you can then get those bats together. And we are trying to work with the brands in such a way that they allow you 2 or 3 free trial sessions with that bat as well. So we just are, one thing which will never go out of fashion for consumers is ease of buying and lower prices, right? So we are trying to change the way parents and sports participants are buying product as well, by bringing brands closer to them and allowing them an access and a free trial or 2 or 3, so that money which they're going to then commit to that product is justified because they've already tried it before then.
Now tell me something, when did you start off KheloMore, like which year?
So the company is actually registered in 2017, and this was just one afternoon. I mean, the thought of aggregating everything was a long-standing thought, but one Sunday afternoon I was just kind of trying to look for some domain names, and suddenly found that KheloMore.com is available. So I thought nothing explains what I'm trying to do more than the name. So that's how we booked it. And so 2018 we started, like most of the startups, we zigged and zagged a bit in the first couple of years. I started it when I was a national selector for the BCCI as well. So I was watching cricket 7 days a week. I thought ki I'll do Khelo More also on top of it. I'll work 2 shifts during the day. Nahi hua wo, and in the early days of a startup and in a later stage also, you need leadership at the top, and that didn't happen. So we had taken some angel money. But for the first couple of years, we kept on kind of shifting our sales a little bit. But till our sales shifted where the wind was. They say in entrepreneurship, you go where the market is, and that's where we were seeing that a lot of private sports venues were sprouting up all over the country. So we just randomly searched across 70, 80, 100 cities, just searched for box cricket near me in Aurangabad. It threw up like 10 or 11 venues. Box cricket near me in Ranchi, it threw up some few venues there. Kolkata, I remember was one of the cities we tried out. So we said, boss, there's a lot of sports venues out there, so let's just aggregate all of them. And that's when we started just focusing on discovering a venue and then being able to book it.
2017 is when it started off.
Yeah.
That is, of course, when you saw the domain name, it was available, etc., going with the angel investors. But when did the idea for a platform like this come to you?
2019 was where we firmed up that we will. So from 2017 to 2019, we worked with outside agencies for development. But 2019, Ujjwala and I decided, Ujjwal's my co-founder, Ujjwala and I decided ki boss yahi karenge, and we hired our own development team at that time, and Dream 11 had just come on as an investor at that time. So for Khelo More, they invested into the company. Wow. And they really helped us in building the product out completely. So since then we said ki boss yahi karna hai, and we say internally that our use case, the reason for existence for the company, is that crores and crores of Indians are saying I want to play. That's the use case. And I want to play, surrounding use cases we have to solve. So I want to play means I want to find a venue. Chalo, you can find it. I want to book a venue, you can book it. I want to find a coach, that will come. I want to find a community, that will come. I want to buy a product, that will come. I want to rate a venue, that will come. So ये पूरा एक ऐप पे लेके आएंगे.
No, so I mean 2019 this happened. My question was like 2017 mein you got the domain name.
Yeah.
So obviously before that you must have been thinking na, that this is something which I want to start, and also when did that actually begin? And why did you want to start something like that?
Great question. So I used to work for Nike. So I spent about a decade working for Nike.
You got an impressive CV. Yeah. You got Indian cricket team, you got Nike, you got BCCI.
Yeah, I always wear the brand. I'm always in Nike Air Force Ones.
Nice.
So I was working for Nike in Europe, in Amsterdam. Working in Europe, football sports marketing.
Okay.
And I had a very plum job. But I met a couple of friends. I made a couple of friends who work for Booking.com. And Booking.com is a Dutch company. It has a Dutch founder. And I just loved the aggregation idea of Booking.com. You just get all the places to stay where you can possibly stay, get them all together. And since then the bug just bit me कि India में जाके sports के लिए ये करेंगे. Because I was always very keen कि India should just not be a country famous for cricket, but it should have the floor plate of sport, which is where to play and a coach and a community. All that needs to have one focal point. So the meeting and interaction with people from Booking.com, going to their offices there, finding out how they are doing stuff, that was the start of a dream. And Ujjwala and I often say that this is a platform which the country needs. So the genesis of in 2017 was key understanding about Booking.com, and just that thought never left me ever since, that I should do this for India. And at that time the way we were interpreting it was the key coaches को extra business लाएंगे. Because I was always saying कि यार coaching अच्छा रहना चाहिए इंडिया में across sport, there should be certified coaches, blah blah blah. But if a coach is not earning a good livelihood, who's going to be inspired to become a coach, right? So we thought ki let's become a lead generation engine for coaches, so they get more business. And while we talk about the venue business all the time on KheloMore, there's a very thriving coaching business also. We've just not productized it as yet. So I think over our period of 6, 7, 8 years, Kabir, I think more than maybe 1,500, maybe 2,000 coaches are making more money than they were earlier, just through KheloMore opening up a bigger market for them. So the idea at that time was aggregate करेंगे, लेकिन coaches के साथ start करेंगे, which kind of then just flipped a little bit. We went venues and coaches are the underbelly right now.
Okay. Now, I mean, you've spoken a lot about Khelo More. Going back to your cricketing days, you played with, as I mentioned before, you played with Sachin and Sourav and Dravid, and then I was sort of going over the internet, and one of my colleagues pointed out about this incident. I think you were in under 15 or something, and you and Sachin Tendulkar flooded Sourav Ganguly's room while he was sleeping.
Yeah. These are all pranks which teams play, players play, friends play on one another. So we were at a national camp in Indore, and I don't know why we did it, but it was like a proper surgical strike on that room, wherein we made sure that his roommate left the door little unlocked at night, and we were ready with our buckets of water, and we wanted it to be flooded till like a shin high kind of level. I forget the genesis of why we did it, but there was a lot of planning involved in that, and Sourav used to be sometimes the butt of all these jokes in a way. Terrific player even at that time. The talent was so evident. With all that grace of his, there was a booming off drive and a booming cover drive. I remember that. But happy days, yeah, Kabir. These are all great memories to think about.
How many buckets of water?
It took an effort.
Yeah, because I'm thinking you flooded an entire room till ankle length.
Yeah, it took an effort, and there were accomplices in it as well. So while Sachin was doing the leadership part of it, there were the foot soldiers who were keeping the supply chain of buckets coming in.
And what was his reaction when he woke up?
No, he was completely zapped. He just couldn't believe it. He couldn't believe it, and the manager of that dormitory was also not happy the next day.
Clearly, obviously.
So we were pulled up for all of that. that, but I was lucky that my father was the coach. So, he just took it in a different kind of sense. There's one more story from that same camp where, Sachin used to keep batting and batting and batting throughout, right? And outside our room, there was like one small, not a small, it was like a reasonably sized hall, like a hall wherein they would have a yoga class. So after we finished practice and dinner, we would put on the lights there and Sachin would ask me to bowl to him. And we would play with that hard plastic ball because that ball comes really quick off the floor and that used to improve his game a lot because the reaction time is less. So we used to play well into the night and that plastic ball makes that typical noise like a table tennis ball makes, right? It makes that similar noise, very irritating kind of noise at one level. So that security guy went and told my father that, that short boy, he's batting for the last 3 hours and your son is bowling to him. So he thought that my father will come and shout at us and stuff like that. And my father just told him, then what are you doing? You go and field.
Oh my God. Wow.
So that's the other story which Sachin loves narrating this story every time this topic comes up. So he said, what are you doing complaining? You go and field and help them, because they're practicing on their game.
Also, now moving up to the next, let's say 4-5 years, these of course were the under 15 times, right? But you also played alongside the likes of them.
Yeah.
I believe this was in 97, 98,
98
especially.
yeah.
So tell me some of those the memorable matches. Was it? I mean, I'm not sure, but was it during one of those matches that you were also there and I think Sourav had taken 5 for 16? He was called the Golden Arm or something.
I think that I played the next year actually, but the earlier year he was the man of the series. But in the 3 matches I played against Pakistan at the Sahara Cup, but that infamous Alu incident with Inzamam, that had happened.
Yes.
That had happened where he went into the stand with a bat. Somebody was sledging him.
Good old times.
Good old times. But I always tell people, that Inzamam went into the stand. Yeah, that can happen in the heat of a moment. But I am amazed at the 12th man who got a bat from inside the dressing room and ran around the ground with a bat in his hand, giving him a weapon to go after the guy.
Very good coordination.
Really. Amazing.
Now, we've spoken about so many things about Khelo More, about cricketers and all. Now, every few years, there's this one prodigy cricketer which comes up and people say he's the next Sachin, etc. Which I also feel is on the part of the media is a bit premature, right? Because you're putting extra pressure on that particular cricketer, right? Which I feel is not right on the media. Okay, it makes for a fancy headline, etc. But what do you feel goes wrong in the case of some of these prodigy cricketers who don't make it to the big level later on or on the way sort of sometimes falter? What exactly goes wrong?
It's very simple, support system. So when I was at Nike, we used to sign a lot of young cricketers, young footballers. I've signed young footballers even in Europe from South America. And one of the biggest filters, Kabir, we used to look at was the support system around that athlete. It could be the parents, it could be friends, it could be uncle, aunt, sister, girlfriend. And that support system is very important because
you used to actually actively track this, but if they have a support system.
Absolutely, because that's a very
that was part of the recruitment thing.
Part of the recruitment process, absolutely. So that gives you a good barometer of how the family thinks, because that's how the boy or girl will think as well. So it's extremely important to have the support system. In India, that support system means friends. Because your parents are normally very, very stable and, they are supportive and this, that and the other, but your friends are really important. And hence it's like when you say that now our children will go to university and we are very cognizant of the fact that the peers in that university should be, so that's how the flower blooms, right? Essentially. So the support system of friends is very important, and with cricket, if you talk about cricket, there's so much of adulation around young cricketers, and the wrong,
it's insane.
and it's very easy for a young boy or a girl who's an amazing cricketer to be led up the wrong path. You have a friend who gives you an expensive gift, and then he gives you one more, and then he gives you one more, and you feel, oh, this guy is my true friend. But you never know what ulterior motives people have. So I think that's where parents obviously are always cognizant of, or should be, but that's where the role of managers and agents comes in as well. I'm very disturbed by the fact that in India in sport you don't have criteria for people to become managers or agents. You need to be passing through certain kind of criteria.
That's not there
It's
currently?
not there in India at all. So that needs to be there because all this prima donna-ish behavior of players and all is often, if not all the time, and I could be controversial by saying this, but it's often the handiwork of these so-called managers and agents, and they are the guys who give the players nicknames. Suddenly ex-player gets called by his initials, and like when did that happen?
Yeah.
So all of that, there's a difference between a manager and an agent. An agent is just a commercial intermediary. So in India, unfortunately, you have a lot of these guys floating around who sometimes contribute very heavily to the false kind of persona which a player is allowed to build in his head, his or her head. So yeah, it's coming back to your question. It's about whom you surround yourself with.
I think that's very well answered, and especially you can actually, being in your position, do something. I mean, I'm sure you must have done so much about it.
Yeah.
But spreading awareness about this particular issue, that maybe sometime in the future, a sort of process is followed for selection of the managers, like you were saying, which would
exactly
be a good thing.
And the custodians of the game have to take it upon themselves to do it. Because that's how it works in all the evolved sports ecosystems across the world.
Now that we've spoken about this, and there was this video which went viral, I think a few months back, the Vinod Kambli at this function, and even Sachin was there.
Yeah.
So one has heard stories, one has read articles, etc. There was the partying, there was the lack of discipline, there was the late nights, etc., etc. You having been in the midst of it, what exactly went wrong with Vinod Kambli?
I think just sheer lack of discipline, because, and again, wrong company, completely the wrong company, which led to a sheer lack of discipline. He was not that way when he made his debut for India, because Shardashram, the school which they played for, it was coached by Mr. Atsrekar.
Yeah.
Atsrekar sir was the coach. He was a disciplinarian to a different level, boss. You would be, if you cut a corner here or there was the old-fashioned disciplining treatment of one rap across your face, basically. So those were all, the Shardashram team was a highly disciplined team, and Vinod was one of them, highly disciplined. I always say that Sachin always said no to temptation, and Vinod always kept saying yes to temptation, and that led to his downfall. He was a fantastic cricketer, fantastic batsman. I've had so many partnerships with him. Terrific player and a great reader of the game. All the right things, but just wrong company just led to his downfall. And the selectors and the BCCI, and I dare say even Sachin, gave him so many opportunities to come back. If I'm not mistaken, he made 11 comebacks. I mean, who gets 11 chances, and then when you are not able to learn from that, then sorry, I'm not going to be somebody to then cry about you, essentially.
Obviously.
But now what you're seeing with Vinod is, I think he's managed to kick the habit, but I think now what you're seeing is not actually drunkenness, it's a neurological kind of situation. So today, in the day of fake news and all of that, you can write whatever. But I know that he's been trying to, come back, onto the wagon, so to speak. But I think in the process, India lost a terrific cricketer. 2 test double hundreds, one in Colombo, one at the Wankhede Stadium. Terrific player, so many happy memories. He was one guy, I always say that he could hit a good ball for 4. You bowl him a perfectly good ball and he'll hit you for 4. And the expression on the bowler's face is like, what did I do wrong? I thought it was good. And he just had that talent. One of the best players of spin I've seen. Unbelievable player of spin. Unbelievable. So many things, but so many happy memories. Now hopefully he gets his health back on track.
No, but you've explained it very well. Like you said, with regards to the previous question, the support system and what you said about this, the comparisons between him and Sachin.
Yeah.
I was reading up about you. There are also a lot of international athletes you worked with.
Yeah.
So if you could talk about 2-3 of the international athletes you worked with and what your association with them was
Yeah,
like.
I worked with a lot of international cricketers and footballers. And during my time at Nike really showed me some good days in terms of being a sports marketing guy, very glamorous job. I remember we had a we had we had a team offsite in Bangalore during my Nike days, and they used one kind of representational picture for each member of the marketing team, and sports marketing was a part of marketing. And when they had to use a sports marketing reference, they showed a balcony overlooking a test match venue with a glass of beer on it. So he said that this is the way sports marketing spends its days, but it's a little more unglamorous than
Obviously,
that.
yeah.
But worked with all the top footballers, Cristiano, Zlatan, Neymar, Ronaldo, R9, that is R9, and Rooney, and a lot of the players. Worked with all the top teams: United, Arsenal, Inter, Juve, Barcelona, Atletico Madrid, Brazil national team. Yeah, so happy days. Happy days.
My God, I think a lot of jealous viewers right now are going to be watching it for sure. The ones who are like crazy football fans.
Yeah.
Moving back to cricket, my last two questions really. How did you sort of get involved with the BCCI, and tell me something about your time with them?
So when this idea of Khelo More came to me, I put in my papers at Nike, and this was 2016, and suddenly I was asked to apply for the selectors role. There was a selection process for the National Selection Committee. So somebody came and said that, hey, we'd like you to apply for it, and I was like, yeah, I'll apply for it. I'm never going to get picked. Because they
I think you thought you
yeah, because they always pick like really senior people, and
Okay.
but apparently they wanted to look at a really young kind of selection committee with people who are closer to the modern ways of playing cricket. And I applied, and they said, oh, you've got the job. I remember they had like a full day application process, and my turn came like, if there were 70 applicants in Bombay, I was like 69th or something. By the time I reached home, I just had dinner, and I just crashed at about 9:30, 10. And I got a call at 11:30, 12 from some media guy, and he said, do you know you've been appointed? So
These media guys, man, I tell you. Insane now how the media is informing you.
Yeah.
He said, congratulations, अब आप कोड दो.
Yeah, and I was so sleepy, and I said, appointed for what? So he said, no, you just gave the interview, right? So I said, yeah, okay. So then next day it kind of sunk in. So then I finished 4 years as a selector, and now I'm on the Central Advisory Committee of the BCCI. This is the committee, 3-member committee. Sulakshana Naik, who's played for India, Ashok Malhotra, Kolkata man, and myself. So we are in charge of selecting the selection committees and selecting the head coaches for both men and women national teams. So it's like 6 or 7 meetings in a row, as and when 6 or 7 meetings in a year, as and when a vacancy comes up. And I was just telling somebody from the BCCI that this is a sure shot way of losing whatever friends I've had, because now there are friends whom you've played with who are applying for those positions, and when you decide on a certain candidate, the guy who's not picked calls you up and says, Jats, you didn't think I could do the job? Like,
It's very tricky.
It's like a very different vibe to it. Yeah.
That is there. Now I know where to get my ticket for the next cricket matches from, that's for sure. But going to the last question, you were there in Nike. You yourself said you had a very plum job. Okay, and you've played cricket, so you know the insides, outs, and all. And then you wanted to start Khelo More. But wasn't there a sort of apprehension that I'm going to start a new company, starting a new business, or had you been involved in some sort of business before? So that apprehension was not there. What kind of challenges really did you face?
I don't know if it's just the way I think. Maybe I don't know if it's right or wrong, but the biggest decisions I make very quickly, very very quickly. I will diddle and dawdle over the smallest decision, but the biggest things, I think my inside voice is very, very clear. We are just doing this because the country needs it. It's as simple as that. And you don't know that you need something till it's there. You know, like we didn't think we needed a Swiggy. We didn't think we needed an Amazon. We didn't think we needed a Make My Trip. We didn't think we needed an Instamart. So now just the response we are getting from our bookings and revenues and your users and this, any metric you look at, this is massive. They're just growing day on day, week on week. So we feel that yes, this is something which the country needs, and that's what inspires us. It's just as simple as that. And you see terrible days as an entrepreneur. Terrible days. When people come up to me saying, "Hey Jatin, we'd like to start this," and obviously it's our duty to help. Yeah, if tomorrow somebody comes and says, "Yaar, Kabir, tell me a little bit about journalism," you'll say, meet me when I have half an hour. I'll sit down with you, take you through the ropes. Tell him ki yaar udhar mat ja, udhar ek there's a puddle there, you'll get your foot wet in it, blah blah blah. But I always tell them that it will be 10 times harder than what you think it is. And because that's been my experience, it's been 10 times harder than what I thought it would be. But never has the thought come of quitting. And I think that comes from my background as a cricketer, playing for really hard teams in Bombay. Dadar Union, if you read about Dadar Union, that was an institution in itself of playing cricket. Then playing for the Bombay Ranji Trophy team, institution in itself, a culture by itself, both these teams, wherein giving up is not even thought of. Whatever situation the match is in, we were always going to win, trying to win that game, and even if there was defense, there was offensive defense in a certain way. So that's my friends who also invested in the company tell me that it's the tenacity, of an entrepreneur which they always invest in. So I think India needs it. Kabir, India is the youngest population in the world, and all the indicators are telling us that for the next 7 to 10 decades, it's going to remain the youngest. So this is the time to build a floor plate of access to sport across all 300-400 cities of India, where anybody from any background wants to play a sport, learn a sport, connect with others, buy something, should have one go-to platform. So KheloMore is going to be like the home of sport. And lots to do in the future. So I envisage a very busy next 10-15 years for ourselves, and a part of what we want to do is skilling. So we want young India, the young human capital to come into sports coaching, into jobs in sport, be it venue managers. Now gated communities have clubhouses, so gated community clubhouse managers, gymkhana managers, infrastructure specialists. We want young India to come into this. So very soon, over the next year or so, you'll see KheloMore coming up with an entire skilling platform, which will be a LMS based skilling platform, skilling, reskilling, upskilling. So the young human capital will get all of that access. And that's when you say, why don't we win so many goals? And I will counter that by saying that give KheloMore 10-15 years to do what we will do, and then you'll see the impact at the top.
That's going to be another thing. That the long-term impact is going to be.
Yes.
Exactly.
So our vision is through skilling. Give the certified coaches some microfinancing to start their own academies. So this will evolve into a KheloMore group of companies, which will all be technology led, but which will be working in the sports and wellness and fitness pieces of the country.
Very busy man.
Yeah. Busy trying to get stuff done.
No, I mean, great talking to you today. I know for sure that I'm going to be downloading KheloMore today for two different reasons, for the ones who've listened to the podcast. But thank you so much for talking to us today, and your great company, and all the best for the future.
Likewise, Kabir. Thank you.